Hey, my name is Braden Olinger. I'm here with Stay Plugged In, and today we are doing an interview with recent Huntingdon College commit Noah Clifton.
Hey, my name is Noah Clifton. I recently signed with Huntington for a League of Legends Esports Scholarship. And just a little background on me. I went to Sylacauga High School, and they had opened up an esports um, my junior year. Played with them throughout my senior year and graduate.
Awesome, yeah. And so with League of Legends, I know you're a top laner. What was kind of your introduction into League? How did you discover it? And was there any games you played maybe before it?
Um, really, I didn't play League when I first discovered it. My brother had got me interested in the idea of it, of playing it for a little bit before the esports team was introduced. He played League a little bit, and I watched him play a couple games, and got me just looking at the game. But I wasn't all too interested till the team opened up. And traditionally in games, like I played Overwatch a lot, and I was a tank, so he introduced me to top lane, just the role that was meant for tanks. So that just made me like dive straight in and just play that game out.
So you said you were a tank main in Overwatch, and then you're now top lane. What character or champion do you main now?
I'm really having a struggle trying to find one,
Mhm.
but if I were to make a guess, it would probably be Dr. Mundo.
Yeah, yeah.
So
He's kind
it's
of he's kind of in meta right now, isn't he?
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Any tank that can't be
Yeah.
killed is in meta right now.
Valid. Yeah. So then let's get on to Huntingdon. How did you kind of discover the program and what attracted you to that university?
Well, originally, um, we started out having two teams, and the top laner on the other team had gotten an offer there, so it made me kind of look over at the college. It looked like a very nice program, and eventually they came over and offered through Stay Plugged In. And, um, it was just really what I was looking for, I think.
Yeah, so with Stay Plugged In, did you kind of start off on the platform, or did I know we just partnered with PlayVersus early last fall? Is that kind of what introduced you to Stay Plugged In?
No, actually. Actually, he had sent me a tournament that they were having, and I was interested in it, so I signed up through there and got to talk with some of the people that were like running it. They were very nice, and that's pretty much what got me into the platform. And
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. So I'm assuming it was probably Carry to College, was the tournament that you were
yeah,
competing in. Yeah. So we're hosting another Carry to College this next February. And I think League of Legends is not going to be in it. And I'll cut this out. I'm just talking at this point. But no, that's awesome. I'm glad you found it through Carry to College. That's kind of the goal is what we're trying to do. Um,
Yeah,
awesome.
the Play Versus has a Discord, and I try to be as active as I can because I feel like esports, especially in Alabama right now, is very much a hit or miss type thing. Kind of like if it doesn't be done well and kind of be a community, then it'll die out, and I definitely don't want it to die out. So I've been so I'll go on the Discord and I saw them somebody on Play Versus, great team that they have. They sent out something that said, "Hey, stay plugged in. It's going to be kind of a thing to try to connect your students with colleges." So I sent it to both him and Diego, who also got an offer from Huntington. He was the one that I think he was looking at it kind of without esports, and then somebody Huntington was like, "Hey, we'll give you kind of kind of a blanket scholarship, like
Mhm.
without even looking at them. They were just like, here's an esports scholarship." So it's kind of like a cool thing that they both ended up connecting and then turning into a bigger opportunity.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Stay Plugged In is trying to do. It's trying to just marry those two. I'm wanting to go to this university for academics. Oh, hey, they also offer esports. Perfect. Just meet the two, right? So, Coach, when you found the Stay Plugged In, platform and the Play versus portal, is that something you're gonna carry on with your future players? Like, how often are you on Stay Plugged In promoting your players, or are you just letting your players do it?
I'm kind of doing it more as the students doing it themselves. The most that I'll do is play versus is pretty on top of sending out the events that go on. So I'll share. Before I just shared it to Noah and Diego, my two seniors, graduating seniors this year. But there's a recent one that just got sent out for I think League of Legends, and I sent it to the whole Discord at Silicaga. I've made a Discord for all of the students interested in esports, whether they want to be in the high school esports or just video games in general. So it's kind of wanted to share it to everyone, just because some students maybe play soccer and can't play esports. I'll give you an example. We have one of Noah's friends, Jace. He's just graduated and has been, I think, more active than any other student on the esports thing, just because he is a soccer player, so he couldn't come do esports, but he's really passionate about it.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to share it with him. It's like, hey, go find. You may not be able to get a soccer scholarship, but you could probably find an esports scholarship.
And so with Silicaga High School, I know you said the program's kind of in its early stages. You're the first head coach there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. And yeah, so what titles are you guys competing in, and all of it through Play Versus, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, sir. So we started 2 years ago. One of our seniors this coming up year was kind of struggling with some problems in school, and the principal at the time really wanted to find something that he was passionate about. So he just point blank asked the student and was like, "Hey, what's something that you would join because you're not in anything?" He was like, "Well, I'd love to play video games." So he's the principal like Googled like esports and then was like, "Hey, um, you want to start an esports team?" And he was like, I'll pay for your first season and just go with it. So last year, I looked up and I think he gave me Play Versus. So I assumed Play Versus was the only one. But so we went with them. And then I found out that Alabama can't do first person shooters. So I was like, okay, well, what games do kids play nowadays? And they gave me Play Versus has like this FAQ of the different games that you can play. And I saw League of Legends, like, nope, we're done. That's the one we're doing. And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "It is the most complicated game there is." And he's like, "And you want to teach kids it?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. Like if you teach kids tic tac toe, they're going to be bored in a second. So give them something that challenges, make them work as a team. And we can. This will be a great game to teach them." So we started last year with League of Legends only. We took over a computer lab, kind of buffed up the computers, kind of got through all the firewalls. That's probably one of the most annoying things about setting up a program is how to get the IT. But our IT admin, Michael Robinson, is a great guy. He really helped me out with it. And then this year we started Rocket League as well. Noah and Diego joined Rocket League, so they played two different games this season, but didn't kind of sacrifice skill in either one, I think. So this year we might add on another one. I might just keep it League of Legends and Rocket League because it allows me to do both on the computers and not have to buy new hardware. But I want to start getting into, I would say that like League of Legends and Rocket League is majority what I see as a male dominated kind of video game. So I wanted something that kind of left the door open for some more of the female students to feel welcome in esports. So I want to go into Super Smash Bros, like Splatoon, that kind of thing. Something that's a bit more on the more fun side, so that way it didn't feel as it was just a bunch of the male students kind of critiquing or cornering off a sport.
For sure, yeah, and that's awesome. I love the initiative by the principal there to, stick their hand out for the student, help them as much as they can, and then lo and behold, esports comes of it, and it benefits the entire school. That's awesome. Good on y'all. So you said you're wanting to, or you took over the computer lab, and so you have how many computers?
We have 30.
Wow. Okay, y'all really took over okay, awesome. And another thing I wanted to note on, really awesome that the principal was willing to put funding into it. You see a lot of young esport programs, and the biggest holdback is administration, but also funding. Finding the needs to get the computers that are needed to play competitively, right?
Well, what I like about League of Legends is that you don't really need it. One of the things that Noah struggled with is his computer because he doesn't really have a good computer. So he's just like, I'm trying to play League, but it keeps crashing, and I'm like, well, at least it's League and not like Rocket League. You'll definitely need something. So it's kind of been a little bit of a blessing with me moving into engineering because we needed the computer lab to do engineering. So we've been in the same way that you would need to upgrade a lab for engineering. It's almost the same qualifications for esports. So the funding has not merely been. I haven't asked for a single bit of funding from the school to fund the esports. This year we did get a blessing from our athletic director. He did help us pay for the season, because that's probably where I'm lacking at the most is fundraising and getting, it's kind of hard to get parents, I think, to be very overjoyed with me trying to sign up their kid to a life of video games.
Right.
I'm like, they're already going to play, so might as well have them play to where they can get a $80,000 scholarship.
Exactly. Yeah, and Noah kind of segue into that. How was your parents' reception when they found out, hey, my kid is being recruited to go play esports video games collegiately, and he's getting a full ride scholarship? Close, right?
Yeah. So pretty much I've been playing video games my entire life, and my parents have always like battened it down to like, oh, he's just doing it because like it's just what he likes to do, and just wants to waste time and whatever. And I wasn't actually the first one that told him. I was just gonna I'd actually forgotten to tell my dad. So he called up my dad and bragged about me, and then my dad came into my room and said, Noah, uh, you better get on that game and play some more if you're gonna get scholarships like that. And that's the first time I ever heard my dad be positive about video games.
So back at Silicaga, I know you said you're wanting to bring in Splatoon, and I think you had said Smash Brothers, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking forward to in the next couple of years at Silicaga? I know you're wanting to introduce more titles. Is there anything else you're wanting to get into as far as the program? Any new expanses or anything like that?
So I think a majority of the things that I want to do is just foster the atmosphere. I see myself in Noah a lot. When I was in high school, I started playing League of Legends, and then there was no opportunity for me to get the scholarship, and there was no other people playing it that I knew of. It wasn't until after high school that I really started connecting with people. So I'm trying just the biggest thing for me would be kind of just to kind of stay where we're at, just kind of grow our program. I'd love to get a state championship. I think if we had 5 Noahs, we would have had it down. But it's Silicaga. I think our graduating class was less than 100. So it's a hard thing to do when we're a public school, kind of small, not really video game centered. It's pretty rural, so the few that you get are the ones that just kind of you have to kind of put them into what they like, or they're just not going to come. So I think more just for me, it's just about what do you guys want. So starting the esports, we're doing a robotics team. So really just growing both of those new programs to the best that I can, and just making sure that kids enjoy it and we don't leave anybody out. It's really just the
Absolutely.
big thing.
Yeah, no, I love that. So Noah, you're shifting from Overwatch back to, or not back to League of Legends. You're shifting from Overwatch to League of Legends. What was maybe the hardest skill that you had to learn, or was it maybe the pacing of the game, or just I know there's 160 champions in the game, so you got to learn a good bit of those.
I think probably the weirdest thing to adjust to is I can't play everyone I want to and be good at the same time. And I'm still kind of struggling with that, but I'm starting to lock on to a small pool of champions, because with Overwatch, I played Roadhog, I played Sigma when he came out of time. I played pretty much every tank I could, but with League, I can't do that.
Definitely, you're kind of locked into the, like you were saying, the tank role with the top lane and everything. So what's maybe something about your playstyle, and I know you're still learning now and actively getting better and better. What's something about your playstyle that maybe in a solo queue you're doing, but in a team aspect, you kind of learned a little better from your teammates and they've communicated how to play as a team a little better?
Definitely, being able to communicate was something I needed to learn, because I was often read. Because I played Darius, that was my first real champion that I really felt and was able to play very well. So definitely there was zero gold distribution top side of the map. So definitely being able to communicate, give some people the kills instead of just being able to take everything.
For sure.
So,
yeah, and just a personal question here, but I know you've gone through a couple name changes. You had the Bovine Word, and then Aerospace.
it's Bovine. Bovine Word was originally my first Xbox Live generated username.
Okay.
So I stuck with that for a while. And then a funny thing about Aerospace, originally it was going to be Aero, as in like AERO. But that was my brother's suggestion. But I was like, oh, yeah, I'll do Aero. But I didn't realize that was how you spelt it. So I spelt it as an arrow.
Got you. Yeah. So it's a little play on words, but unintentionally, right? I like that. That's funny. And your coach there is an aerospace engineer, so it's even funnier.
It makes me sad that he didn't know that he.
But hey, that's what you're there for. You're there to teach him, right? Was he the one that pointed it out, or
the greatest things about League of Legends is I love narrowing down how to teach. That's why I became a teacher in the first place. And like you said, there's 160 champions in League of Legends, and I think if you sit down and do an interview with any of my esports kids, it's me sitting there for about 5 to 10 minutes just trying to understand their brain and being like, I think you'll like this person. I think, oh, you like this? Well, this dude has a CC and this one has a movement speed. This one has greater mobility. And they'll just be like, okay. And they're like, and so I'll have our jungler this year, our main jungler. He'll always be like, give me 5 people to learn, and I'm like, I just gave you 5 people yesterday. He's like, I've already learned, and I'm like, no, you did not. I was like, I will play a champion for a year and still not be good enough for in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you need to slow down and just it's something different, because Noah's thing is Noah will learn really, really fast, but he's very much like me, where in team fights it's like, let's go, and I'm like, hey, could you stop punching the table? And he'll just be like, and then I'm like, okay, and then I just think to myself, okay, their parents gonna thank me later whenever he like almost punches something but stops and be like, I saw that.
Yeah, it's like the having a rubber band on your wrist, right, and training yourself not to do something. No, that's awesome, and I love the initiative, and you can tell the passion's there. You just wanted to teach kids esports and wanting them to be the best possible people they can be, right? So respect that completely. And Coach, I know, are you streaming any competitions at Sylacauga, or are you wanting to get into that at all?
I would like to stream. I am streaming the best I can. Right now, we don't have a manager. I haven't been able to kind of get one and keep one type deal. So sometimes I'll mess up the stream. I'll try to stream for them. I don't try to put it out there so that way people can kind of like football watch film, because I think there's just too many. We have some holes that we just can't fill. So I'm just trying to kind of mitigate and come up with things with them. But I would love to do like the coach for Huntington and I were talking about their new setup, and I'd love to do that in our auditorium. So I was asking our IT guy, like, could we like sell tickets to like streaming it like on, like, because some parents just don't want to go to Twitch or find out. So if we could literally just project it in our auditorium and then sell tickets, it might be a way for us to create revenue without us having to like go do fundraising. But I think really it's just become better and better as we go, because the main thing would be participation. And like Noah's mom has said several times to me, like, hey, I don't care if my last kid goes to you for esports or not. I don't care if it's 20 years down the line. If you need a parent to come do something, call me. I will be there instantly. So I think that's what I'm kind of going forward to, is getting that kind of amount of participation back, and then just seeing what we can do with it to further the program.